Hi everyone, thank you for watching. My name is Shanae Hobson and I am the First Nations curator here at Bendigo Art Gallery. I'd like to begin today by acknowledging the First Nations people of the land that I'm standing on, the Dja Djurrung peoples of the Kulin Nation. And I'd like to extend that respect and appreciation to any First Nations people watching today. Pinpi is a Kukuyawa word from my great-grandmother's language, and it's a word that we use on the east coast of Cape York Peninsula to describe seasonal changes across the landscape. For many of the designers and artists in this exhibition, knowledge of the land and seasons is culturally important, and it's depicted in a lot of their garments and woven material and textile prints. The exhibition is intended to take audiences on a journey across country. And what we've done is we've based the exhibition thematically of 4 Kukuyawa seasons. Come and take a look at this fabulous exhibition with me. When you enter Pinpi, the first garments that you see are by artist and designer Lynelle Young. This particular garment really encapsulates a lot of what the exhibition is about. The work is titled Yaraga, and it means spring in Wiradjuri language. Young was inspired to create this work from the native bottle brushes. So you can see her use of red and green, which represents the beautiful leaves, and the emu feathers, which are adorned across the mannequin's hands. Lynelle is a Gunai, Wiradjuri, Yoriora and Gunditjmara fashion designer based in Melbourne. Born in 1995, Young comes from a long line of artists and storytellers. In this particular collection, she's honouring her ancestral connections to her traditional country in Southeast Australia. In this garment, we see Young's distinct design approach through the direct application of paint to fabric. Connecting to her ancestors through ancient mark-making techniques, Young experiments with ideas of materiality and construction to connect her work to her saltwater country. Draped across the front of the garment is mesh, used to symbolise fishnets for hunting and collecting bush food. Visually, the garment emulates the colours of the sea. Shades of blue, white and black are fused, creating movement and imitating the rippling effects of crashing waves across the ocean. Honouring her ancestral connections to the Gunai peoples of East Gippsland region, this particular garment was made as a response to the bushfires which took place. The work symbolises the importance of Taura, which means fire in Gunai language, and its usage for Indigenous peoples both historically and culturally today. Through her garment, Young articulates her abiding links with her ancestral lands and the importance of storytelling through fashion. For Young, painting and creating is an act of worship. It is spiritual and ceremonial, honouring the sacred storytelling and passing down of gifts and connecting to her ancestors on a deeper level. Kayaman is the season of fire and smoke. This particular section of the exhibition really showcases the fibre practices of women living and working in remote Australia. For Yolngu master weavers Mary, Yvonne and Margaret from the community of Ramingining, fibre art is inherently tied to other important customary practices such as collecting bush foods and bush dyes from country. The women create technically complex and sophisticated wearable art pieces that draw on their ancestral knowledge of traditional weaving techniques and also combine that with contemporary design and fashion ideas. Embracing the visual language of pop culture, Margaret Raru's Madonna Bathi and Madonna Bra were inspired by the queen of 1980s pop, Madonna. I think this room really showcases the importance of traditional weaving techniques and practices and how the artists have reimagined those practices and transformed them into contemporary fashion ideas. This next section of the exhibition is titled Nugita, Season of Rain, and this is the largest gallery space in the exhibition. For senior chiral artists from the Mornington Islands, painting directly onto fabric as they would canvas parallels other important customary traditions, including bokunda, or body markings, which connect the women to their kandu and their families. Using a vivacious colour palette and semi-abstract lines, the dresses evoke a mesmerising energy and freedom of expression through the direct application of paint to fabric. These works really showcase the complex marine systems that surround the artist's country in the Mornington Islands. The garments in this room really showcase the artist's transition from painting directly on canvas to painting on fabric. For the Yarrandeh Altieri artists based in the heart of Alice Springs, who draw inspiration from their community to capture the everyday aspects of remote bush life. Birds, plants and passerbyers are incorporated into the artist's whimsical designs. Grace Lillian Lee is a multicultural artist based in Cairns. Grace has a history of fashion and design, having studied at RMIT and majored in fashion. Her practices explore traditional techniques through a contemporary fashion and art context. Here we have her beautiful body sculptures. Grace was taught to weave by artist Uncle Ken Thaiday, who taught her the traditional prawn weaving techniques from the Torres Strait Islands. And the prawn weaving is most commonly used for making children's play objects and decorative ornaments. In the body sculptures that we see here, Grace has used cotton webbing and a variety of colour combinations to create a really technically complex pieces that blur the boundaries between traditional craft practices and high-end fashion and art. Hibiscus Sunrise is a hand-painted garment that details the native hibiscus flower. Grace was inspired by photographs from her grandmother's wedding day. This exhibition space is titled Pinga, Season of Flowers, and what we're really looking at in this room is artists living and working in remote art centres who have a history of textile printing. The Butborough Women's Centre in Maningrida are known for translating traditional designs for bark and weaving directly onto fabric, have been textile printing since 1988. Their prints are vibrant and intricate interpretations of the landscape and stories from country. Similarly for Gumba Gumba, senior women from Hopevale Arts and Cultural Centre, popular bush foods and plants are reoccurring motifs in their designs. We've used Esme Bowen's Botaya Bush Lady Apples garment for the floral wall print that you see on the back to emphasise the production of textile but also the importance of fabric printing for artists living and working on their traditional homelands. Jan Griffith's water lily dress features hand block prints of the water lily flower. The work depicts the story of Jan's grandmother Dina, who as a young girl would visit the Wirrabang, Billabong to collect the water lily flower roots as well as mussels for bush tucker. This particular room is called Pitcha Pitcha, and that refers to the cool season. What we really wanted to look at in this particular display is artists who have been working with recycled materials and materials found from country to really showcase the importance of slow fashion and sustainability that a lot of First Nations designers use throughout their practice. Established in 2005, the Anandaliakwa Arts Centre based on Groote Island is a place for thriving arts collaborations and community-fostered initiatives. Working closely with the local land management rangers, the artists utilised discarded ocean debris such as abandoned fishing nets and rubbish to create wearable art and considered fashion pieces such as baskets, dilly bags and recycled silk-dyed garments. Traditionally, the dilly bags would be worn around the front of the neck or around the head. So for this particular exhibition, we wanted to ensure that we showcase the works as they would be worn on country. Dilly bags are often used for collecting bush foods and also worn in traditional ceremonies. In addition to focusing on Indigenous seasons, we also wanted to create a space that really looked at artists and designers working in the urban and metropolitan regions. We decided to call this room Black and Deadly, Black without the C. Black is a term that's used by many First Nations people to reclaim blackness, and it was first used by artist Destiny Deacon in her 1991 exhibition. So what we really wanted to do with this space is look at artists who are really embodying bold and powerful forms of resistance through their designs. Tegan Cowlishaw's Deadly Queen jumpsuit really is the embodiment of Black empowerment through fashion. Tegan is a Bardi artist who grew up between Perth and Darwin, and through her work she's really been able to build a platform that inspires the next generation of Indigenous youth. You can see with this particular work, she's got the Deadly symbol written on the back. And Deadly is really a term that we use to describe something that's super awesome or great. So to be able to wear Tegan's designs is really empowering. We worked closely with designer and curator Shannon Brett, and Shannon is based in Brisbane, and she created a collection of works titled Femi Gem, and the works really look at Black sexuality and female empowerment through fashion. All of her garments are hand painted and hand sewn by Brett, so it's really exciting that we get to be able to showcase her works to you for the first time. The garments in this room illustrate the ongoing resilience of Indigenous artists and designers whose collections go beyond the idea of fashion for beauty to reinforce powerful messages of Indigenous presence and visibility within the colonial landscape. This exhibition represents a truly unique experience. Never before have so many First Nations artists, designers and makers been showcased in this way, and we really hope that you can come and see this exhibition.